noticed that it.
You there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You said something about sent you a notice.
They sent you a notice that
Oh, Blog Talk
the show
Radio.
was going to start.
Oh yeah, yeah. Blog Talk Radio was it sends it every time when I schedule a show. Right before 30 minutes, I think 6:30, it sends a notice and says your show was going to start soon, as in an email, and it's basically the title and that's it, just as a reminder that it's getting ready to start. So, other than that, that was all. I was like, oh man, I wanted to check it out and see what happened, but it was only for, I don't think it was for very long, was it? I mean. That first,
no, it was only about 10 minutes.
1 minute until showtime.
Yeah. Then the other ones, I don't think I got. I don't think I got the other. I wasn't getting. What? Unless
they
it
weren't
was
going through. Anytime I tried to schedule a test, it wasn't going through. It wasn't connecting.
God.
Then finally it did. And it was just. It was insane. I tried to talk to people. I tried to get stuff done. I couldn't get anything through.
Yeah. We're coming up to showtime.
It drove me nuts.
Yeah, I bet it does. You're expecting it to work and nothing's
the
happening.
intro is not working.
It should be. Well, I got the video version.
Wasn't.
I'll do the video thing. About 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
But
yeah.
Every time I tried to do it, it just silence. I didn't know if it was
Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
Have to try it.
4, 3,
let me
2,
count down 10.
I am
1.
right on.
That didn't work.
Blog Talk Radio.
This
is All About Wine, the talk show dedicated to the wine industry since 2009. Featuring winemaker, cellar master, vineyardist, and tasting expert, Ron.
Basically, what we're trying to do on this program is just trying to educate people and trying to make wine less confusing and more friendly.
From coast to coast and around the world.
We really have had some neat people on the program. I love that.
Post your questions and comments during the live show on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. Again, that's www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. And now, All About Wine is on. Here's Ron.
All right.
Send the transition
Intro's working there. We've got Mike back.
Get that back in there. Hey, how's it going? Okay.
Yeah.
Did that? There it goes.
Bear with me for a second here. I'm going to hit the intro, the audio intro that I've been doing for the last, month. Let's see if it plays.
I hear it.
Okay. Well, look at that. Boy, it wasn't. It was not playing. I went through, 4 weeks of shows, and I'm trying to, and the intro never did.
That didn't work.
Play. So, yeah.
Interesting.
No, it didn't. I couldn't understand why. But everything else was working and all that. So, oh well.
Strange. We
got Mike back. He has finally got back on air. The Hurricane Ian did him a number.
Not a good number.
Number 9.
I don't know what the number.
Not a good number.
I don't know what the number was.
Not a good number.
It's not a lucky number.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was not a good number. If you all get that number, throw it away because it's not good.
Yeah.
But he's back in front of the computer now, and we're hooked up to Facebook, and we're hooked up to all the others because I couldn't do that. And
it takes a bit of work.
There's
a bit of setup, and it's even getting back to it today. I was like, okay, if I hit this button, what happens? And I was thrown. I was like, I hadn't done it in 7 weeks, and I'm thinking, okay, it's just like riding a bicycle that you haven't ridden in about 40 years, and so it should be nothing. And I couldn't nothing. The video wasn't working. The pre-roll thing wasn't working with the little date and time, and I still had issues right now, right before going on air. So to hit the button, so I go, oh my gosh, come on. It's
we got somebody calling in.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Don't know. Hold on a second. Let me see if there's any. Were you expecting someone to call?
No, I was not. I didn't think we had any guests scheduled tonight.
Let's see where that's calling from.
It's great if we do, but
Los Angeles.
We had Jody scheduled, but Jody
no
rescheduled.
I don't think there's any. Who is Jody with? If you could look that up.
I'll have to look and see.
Hang on, if that's you, just stay on the line until we figure out who this is. Normally we don't. Normally we don't allow regular phone callers like listeners to call in anymore because of some goofs out there that had to ruin it. Yes, issues. Well, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. But guest, yes, certainly call in as a guest, and I do have a possibility here. I just want to verify that with you, if you can.
No, Lexi is the one I've been talking to about Jody, and Lexi's got a 617 area code.
Okay. Well, she could be outside anywhere.
And this is 917.
That's Los Angeles.
But that doesn't. Yeah,
we need to see if Jody.
No, I don't think it's Jody. Let me see.
Nope. Jody is in Charleston or Boston. I think there's one of those two.
Yeah.
I have a note here. Beverage director of Fascia JT Food Group.
Yeah, that's Jody.
Okay. So not that one. How can we do this here? This is confusing.
Nick is on the 22nd. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Kayla.
Who?
I'm on the line and hear that you were not expecting someone. Today was our scheduled interview. All right. Well, it's Kayla. Oh, well, that's good. Oh my gosh. See, I'm getting everything so confused with being disconnected. And Kayla, we've tried to get a couple, 3 times. Oh my gosh, Kayla, I am so sorry. Welcome to the program. You are on the air now.
After all that.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Kayla. I am so happy. It's just unbelievable. Ever since the hurricane went through, I have been going nuts trying to get people rescheduled and trying to keep track of who's coming on and when and all that stuff. And, you were one of them that has been so patient and so understanding with all this stuff. I really do appreciate that.
Of course.
It's been crazy. Everyone, this is Kayla Maxim, is it pronounced?
It's Kala.
Kala. Oh, okay. Well, there I blew that one. I said it last time right. Kala. Okay. And she's the founder and chief event composer for Five Senses Tasting. And so she is our guest tonight. And, oh my gosh, I'm happy that you stayed on and that you hung with me over the last 7 weeks or so, and here we are. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for, like I say, for being so patient. Tell us about Five Senses Tasting. What is that?
Sure. So it is a boutique special events company that takes the idea of a wine tasting and applies it to music. So it's really based on the idea of, tasting through a variety of different musical genres, musical styles, languages, countries of origin, and something like that. So, all of our events really incorporate all the 5 senses. A lot of times you'll hear about people talking about the 5 senses when they're tasting, and I love that. And then you sort of end up with 4 and you go, okay, well, where's the sense of sound? Like, where's our hearing involved in all of this? And so that's sort of where I started. And as a professional opera singer, a musician, and performer, I'm in another world yet another world that has a lot of people sort of feeling very intimidated by it. And so I really was trying to figure out a way to put the two together, not opera necessarily, just music in general. I showcase 500 years of music from Bach to Bon Jovi, I say. So there's everything from classical to rock in my events. But I really wanted to make the statement that, we take in all information around in our lives through our five senses, and sound is a hugely impactful sense, and it's often relegated to the background. So I wanted to bring it to the forefront, and that's where I started with this idea of musical wine tasting.
That sounds fascinating. Okay, now it brings up all sorts of questions. First question: I'm tasting Chardonnay. Is there a music that goes with that? Genre that goes with Chardonnay, or how? What do you what do you do with those? I mean,
well, I start with a story. So there are, if you hear people talk about wine and music at all, you'll kind of hear two things. You'll hear people talk about, like, does the wine affect, or does the music affect the particular wine you're tasting? And there are a lot of studies from the Crossmodal Lab up in Oxford that talk about that. And then the other side of things is like, Chardonnay is country, or Pinot Noir is jazz. And the issue that I have with that is not the intent to try and make the senses complement one another. It's that a Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley is completely different than a Pinot Noir from Tasmania. And the story behind them is completely different. So to me, it is impossible to say that Chardonnay has a musical identity. It is possible to say that your 50th birthday celebration can be brought to life by a particular Chardonnay and a particular musical pairing. So that's how I get really, really specific with it, because you're a winemaker, you know this. Like, the wine you make, if you make a Merlot, let's say, it's not the Merlot that anybody else makes. So how could we possibly put your Merlot and, Josh's Merlot or someone else's Merlot in the same musical basket? It's your art.
I see.
That's how I think about it.
If someone someone says, I really like, let's go to the old standby, I really like a Cabernet Sauvignon from a Mondavi. Do you just say, okay, this is what we pair it with, and so this is the music that goes with the Mondavi Cabernet, or do you talk to the person and find personality and match that with it also?
It's actually only that, really. It's really diving into a person's story. Everyone has a part. Like, when you throw a party, you throw a party for a reason. Even if it's kind of for no reason, there's still a reason behind it. There's still something that you want to share with people. Very infrequently do people write songs or create art because they're bored. They do it because they have something to say, right? So if somebody has, composed a piece of music or made a wine or made a piece of art or written a song, it's because they have something to say and something to communicate. And so it's my job and sort of my superpower, I guess, to kind of go deep into people's stories and fish out those details that they might think are, like, really just not that interesting. Nobody cares about this part of my life or this part of my story or this part of my brand. And really, it's those, little things, as Robin Williams says, and I think it's Good Will Hunting, it's like the peccadillos, in a relationship are what make you, love one another more deeply, and those little things about each other. And so that's where I try to go into people's stories.
Have you, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, have you ever done a music with a wine and people go, I'm really don't like that song. That doesn't appeal to me. Has that ever happened?
The honest answer is no. The honest answer is that has never happened to me.
Good.
I will say people more often than not, and I don't know that that's necessarily because I'm a genius at it, but because wine and music can be so versatile around one another. And so what I try to do is really set the scene. And there's an element of, like, the power of suggestion that's unavoidable when we talk about anything in wine, I think. And we're talking with people who might not be experts, right? So I think what I hear more often is like, wow, I didn't know that I could like Riesling is the one that comes to mind all the time. I didn't know that I could like Riesling, but not only the Riesling you picked, but the music that goes along with it, the way that you introduced it. Okay, I got it. Like I can handle Riesling now. So it's actually the opposite response, luckily.
Oh, very good. It's just that people are so finicky, I guess is the word I'm looking for here, and they want something that will move them. And I would think that the possibility of picking the wrong combination would be really quite strong. But if you get to know the people and you start to understand their personality, I can understand why that would be avoided a lot too. So I'm thinking out loud.
I don't go too wild. So the music that I pick, especially for corporate clients, is usually pretty mainstream. And when I host them live, which I was doing before the pandemic and since, it's really that you see people performing for you live. And so even if you don't like the music, you still see the artistry happening. And that's happened to me. I can taste a wine and I don't necessarily love the wine, but I can appreciate what went into it. Or I don't like a piece of, a particular song, but I can appreciate the artistry that went into it. And so I think especially when you're performing live, people can see that and appreciate that, even if there's a particular element that doesn't please them.
That's understandable, but now you're not doing the live as much, and so is it affecting the aesthetics of the whole thing?
Well, I am offering live events again, although you catch me at sort of an interesting time in my pursuit of all this, because I have had my company for 10 years now, and I'm actually moving away from full-time operations of my company. I'm going to be doing a full career pivot and really keeping 5 senses for the projects, like my love projects, collaborations that I really want to do, personal celebrations, and probably moving a little bit more away from corporate stuff. But I've hired live musicians on Zoom. I'm doing my last tasting club event in December, and I have 2 performers coming on Zoom with exceptional audio setups that makes it sound like they're in your living room. So I've been doing that for 2 years as well.
Oh, okay. So is that what you're saying you're pivoting? Is that what you're pivoting to? Getting away from it and doing something else, or what is the future?
I don't know what the future is, Ron, actually. I have the same question. But I do think that it will be out of these 2 worlds majorly, possibly back into another life I had before this in politics and social justice. But I think what I've really learned is that there's a time when the things that you love take on a different personality in your life. And I'm looking to go back to where we were a few years ago, where really we are doing much more live events, where I'm hiring artists and performers and really being intimate with my audiences, which is what I love the most. And so that's really where I'd like to focus, even though the virtual stuff is honestly easier and it's more profitable. I really love the in-person stuff.
I can imagine it would be a lot easier. You mentioned in passing that you were an opera singer.
It's true. Guilty as charged.
Okay. Classically trained. Tell me about that part of your life.
Well, I always sang when I was younger, and I always wanted not to be a singer. So I tried really hard not to be a singer and studied politics and did everything I could to not be a singer. And then finally I was like, all right, fine. So I went to grad school for opera performance and became an opera singer, and I did that for a number of years. And then the economy tanked, and that was a really rough time to be any sort of artist. So I kind of went back into the quote unquote real world a bit, but I've always sung. I've always had that part of my life alive. I guess kept it alive. So now I don't really I don't pursue opera. It's what I'm trained in, and it's what I sound like when I open my mouth. But I do. When I trip, I always whoops. I sound very operatic. But I don't pursue it right now. But I create recitals, and I sing things that I want to sing now, which is really, and my company has actually pushed me outside of my comfort zone too, to singing things that I never would have done if I just followed a classical career.
Yeah, well, I can imagine it seems like a big change, from opera singing to, well, I guess you're still involved with music though, so no matter how you look at it, it's still the same flow in life. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have other people who work with you, or is it just you?
It's primarily me. I do have someone who worked with me this year, kind of my right-hand woman, and she was amazing. And then I would say, you know, the people that I've worked with, they don't work for the company, but through my music and wine tasting club and my you know, I've grown these partnerships with, you know, wineries and chocolatiers and cheesemongers and distributors around the country. And you know, I don't pay them a salary, but they've kept me afloat. They've been the ones that allowed my club to grow and allowed, you know, my ideas to grow and supported me, and, you know, worked with me on crazy partnerships that I had with, you know, like for everyone from, like, you know, Adobe to a sex toy company to everyone. Like, you know, it's crazy what like wine and music can get you into and out of, to be honest. So it's been and it is a totally great ride.
It sounds like it's fascinating. Do you have anything booked over the holidays here?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple corporate events, and then I have, as I mentioned, my music and wine tasting club. So I started that in April of 2020, and I did 21 months of it. And then I moved to quarterly this year. So I had a kind of a core group of club members that came to every single event. And it's, you know, I'm sunsetting it at the end of, you know, it's been almost 3 years now. So this will be my last event with my club, which has been really amazing and like has taught me so much because, you know, before COVID, like I you know, knew about wine, but when I would work with people, it was always, I would work with a winery, or I would work with somebody who had the wine knowledge, and they would kind of, you know, we would talk about it together. And then when COVID happened, of course, I had to be the one to make all of the decisions. And that's really when my wine like studies and my wine knowledge kind of like skyrocketed. And I became way more into it. And that's wonderful. I mean, a lot of good things came out of that, not COVID, but that time for me and my business.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it sort of shoved you into an area where you had to know it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was no way around it. So I just had to I got much better at tasting, even though it's still something that I don't have the most refined palate, I think, in the world. But I think I've gained a lot more experience and just like facility with kind of talking wine lingo, and also, you know, really not talking wine lingo, like really talking to people about wine like you do in a way that they just, you know, I also work in a wine shop here in LA. And it's so funny how many people come in and they're kind of sheepish about it. Like, I don't really know what I'm looking for, you know, and you have to just be like, that's fine. You like a red or a white? Let's start there. Like, that's it. Let's just go down to basics.
I always add rosé to that question. Red, white, or rosé?
Also, yeah. Or orange now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so popular.
And then most people look at you like orange wine, and you have to explain that.
I know. I know. Yeah.
But it sounds like a great business. So you, well, from what I understand, you're not going to be fully involved with this into the future, into 2023.
My intention is so the company started when I was working full time in technology, and so I would work on the weekends, I would work, you know, in the evenings, and I would I would sort of take events as they came, and I was able to maintain both. And that's really what I'd like to do now, is go back to that model where maybe I'm not working on it full time, but the company still exists. I am still its owner and its founder. Obviously that doesn't change, but you know, I'm taking projects and events that I want to and saying no to things that, you know, might conflict with whatever this new thing in my life is. So I guess it's a shift. It's a shift back to what it was at the beginning, which is, you know, I've done it full time for 6.5 years now, and I'm ready to try something else. I feel like I've really come as far as I know how to take it right now. And I think that there's a point at which you have to, hopefully you can recognize when it's time to shift again. And I think I really recognize that. And I'm not sad about it at all. It feels like exactly the right thing to do, and I'm finding a lot more joy in what I'm doing now because I'm looking at it from a different, it's not like I just have to do this and have to press and have to grow and have to do. It's like, this is what I want to do now. This is like my hobby, and then I get to do, I have to and get to do the other thing that's my quote unquote job. But this, it feels much better and freer the way I'm looking at it now.
Huh. It would seem, I don't know. That's quite a change, though. Quite a trend there, because you were doing it full time. You were obviously enjoying it, and just to cut back on it so fully like that on something that was enjoyable seems counterintuitive to what most people, that you say find your passion and go with it. Yet you found the passion and you're stepping away from it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess
I'm
you
not
have
criticizing.
to be. I mean, this year has been tough.
Yeah. And
yeah.
it seems odd. I don't know that, people are always saying find your passion, go with it. You found your passion, you went with it. Now you're saying, okay, I'm going to see if I can't find something else. And it's a leap of faith, if you will, that you're going to.
Well,
you're going to do that. I don't know. I give you all the credit in the world. I mean, it's really, really a big step to be working on something that you have found that works for you and it brings the income in and something you enjoy, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to cut back on this and try to find something else. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, if you will, on that.
I like that term. Yeah, it does. But I think it's so wonderful that in today's world we get to have so many lives. And I've had this life for 10 years now. I've had my business for 10 years through the ups and the downs, and COVID was really wonderful, and 2022 was really tough, if I'm honest. So I think
I can see, because 2022 is really tough for everybody. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of things, and really a few things that I feel very drawn to. And when you're this is how I look at it. When you're an opera singer, you're a freelancer, right? Which means you work when someone gives you work, which means you're also working on 2 or 3 other things. I have literally never in my life had one job, ever. So for me, having one job, I mean, even when I had my business, I still sang. I still have another seasonal job that I do that is like a writing job. So I've always had more than one thing, up to 7 jobs at once, which was ridiculous.
Wow.
So for me, this is not about quitting my business. It's about saying there's another thing that I want to do with this next decade of my life. And I want music and wine to stay in it in a way that is it's in a different proportion than it was in the last 10 years. And that's the way I think about it. Not that it's going away, but that I'm shifting into something else and maintaining it in the way that feels right and good, and continuing to learn more and more about wine and having the openness to do that without the pressure of having to make it my full-time pursuit.
Very good. No, that's well put. That really explains it well there, that, it's not something that you're going to walk away from. It's something that you're going to, put in another category, but still stay with it. That's good. That's good.
Right.
Mike, do you have any questions for, again, Kala?
Kala.
Kala?
Yes. It's Kala. Kala. So Kala.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not yet. No, I'm kind of getting back into this myself after some time out, but so far so good. No, I'm good. Enjoying it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Mike has been my co-host for all the years we've been on, and when the hurricane went through, not only did it mess up the connections here, but it also kicked Mike out of his house. Literally, it destroyed a bunch of stuff, and he's been living in a hotel for the last 7 weeks, and this is his first night back with us on the program here. So he is transitioning himself from hotel life back to being on the show and all that. So
I'm so sorry to hear that, Mike. That's really terrible. I was so upset when I heard both times that I was going to be on, and this was the reason why. And I didn't know that it was you. I thought maybe it was you also, Ron. I'm just really sorry. And I have another colleague whose parents were also basically washed out of their home. So I'm just terribly sorry about that.
Well,
thank you.
We were talking before the show, and I told Ron, I said, it was a lot worse in Fort Myers and, Southwest Florida. So I think, losing part of the roof, I'll take that, versus having several feet of water inside. It turned out, it's an inconvenience, I guess, at best, compared to what the other people here experienced. I'll take this. Yeah,
right.
I guess.
Right. So, that's good.
I feel even worse for what they went through. But anyway, yeah, thank you. But yeah, it was interesting, but that's it. I was looking, so is your website and everything still going to stay the same? Are you going to change anything about that? Or, okay. So if people do want to,
I don't.
Yeah. You're not backing out or anything.
Yeah, it will definitely still stay at the same URL. I may change a bit of the messaging, but it will definitely stay at fivesensestastings.com. Yeah. Yeah.
And then your tastings and everything, you'll still go on, but you'll have more flexibility. You won't be hard pressed to accept everything, it sounds like. So it's on your time and your terms, it sounds like, and which is great. So but you'll still offer, I guess, what I'm seeing on the website. As time permits. Yeah. So
sure.
Don't discount her yet. Don't discount 5 senses. Keep at it. Keep it at the very beginning when I was because I type notes and stuff. When I have the microphone muted, I was like, oh my God, is this closing up or what? And no, it's not. So keep checking the website. Keep throwing support towards her and she'll keep learning and growing from there. So it's a good thing. So you're going to keep at it. Is what I've gathered so far. Thank you.
Paula, have you ever had someone contact you to do an event and you have said, no, that just is not going to work for me? Has that ever happened?
Once or twice probably, but not terribly often. When I was asked to do something with Adobe a few years ago, that was when I was like, okay, this is really stretching me, because how do I musically wine taste the PDF guys? How do I make the PDF guys come alive? And this is, I think, when I really figured out how deep I had to dive, was to really figure out what was at the core of the company. At the core of the company, I found creativity, right, and innovation and all that. And I know those are buzzwords, but really, what does Adobe do? It produces software that allows you to create things. And so I just made stories up out of that. So, I think it's more if people want things on a certain timeline or on a certain budget. I think I'm usually pretty much in the middle of things. I am not the cheapest around there, but I'm also not the most expensive. I am not going to price gouge you. And I am, hiring musicians and using small family wineries and women-owned wineries and things like that as much as I can, small businesses. And so there are, some additional costs to just sort of ordering off of wine.com, which I do too. I do that often as well when I want a really wide variety of things. But, I think there's so much versatility in wine that you really can, as long as you maintain your bottom line, you can really help anybody who comes to you with anything.
Very true. Do you, you partially answered this question, but do you use a single winery's lineup of wines whenever you book something and book that winery and everything, or do you bring in extra wines with that winery, or do you just do an event with a bunch of different wines that you bought? What is your procedure on that?
The answer is yes. I've done all of the above. So when I'm doing, when I do in-person events, I have done events with wineries and with wines from wineries. Obviously, when you do virtual events, that's a little harder, just because it is a lot more costly. So I have worked with wineries who've hired me, for example, to come in and do what I do in partnership with them. So they send their members the wines, and then I'll do the musical pairing and the presentation, for example. In my virtual tastings, I'll usually work with distributors or distributors, basically, who have a portfolio that they can put together. Because one of my most popular program is called Around the World in 80 Minutes. And that's where you choose 3 different countries to travel to on your virtual trip. And that's what I'm doing in December as well. So, you know, it's hard to work with a winery because, of course, it's just like, hey, here are all wineries from Sonoma or wines from Sonoma. But really, what I find people love is like traveling from Spain to Australia to Germany or something like that.
Yes, I can understand that completely, yes. How many wines do you usually do in or does it vary with, well, okay. When you book something, is it a limited time? Like, okay, this is booked for 90 minutes, or this one's booked for 4 hours, or whatever. Is that how that works?
Yeah. Typically, people will want an hour to an hour and a half, and I'll usually do 3 wines in whatever time. I won't usually do more than that, just because it starts being a little bit overwhelming.
Oh, okay. And then can people request wines? Say, I want all my wines to come from Chile or Argentina.
Sure, they can do.
Okay, but
absolutely.
They basically just throw it, and you just take care of the wines and the music and all that. Now, okay, the answer is yes on that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
You're. I'm putting this all together in my head. Now, your bands, your music. This is something else, too. I can see your small wineries around there, and you've got like a zillion of them out there around the L.A. area and the valleys and all that. But musicians, do you have certain go-to groups that you get, or do you go out and try to find new, or how does that work?
Both. So I actually work primarily with independent artists who come together. So I don't work with a band. I work with artists who have, because of the variety of the music that we portray. So and just a quick clarification to what I said before, when I do my virtual events, it's usually 3 wines. And my live events, it's 4 or 5. And the musicians, I usually have 4 musicians at each event. I do sing sometimes, but I'll have like a keyboardist, maybe another vocalist, and a cellist or a guitarist or a violinist or something like that. And because I present music that is 500 years of music, I need musicians who can play a Chopin nocturne and a cover of a Beatles song and an Ella Fitzgerald jazz, scat on an Ella Fitzgerald song. And that's not what most bands do. Most bands, legitimately, understandably, have a focus. They're a funk band or they're a rock band. And so I put together individual musicians, independent artists who come together and have the talent and the expertise to be able to play 500 years of music together with each other, never having met before. And that's the beauty of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that sounds great. Mike does a musical show online every Saturday morning. He's been a musical DJ in lots of different areas, and so he would probably enjoy some of the music that you connect with because of his background and all that. So I was just want to throw that out there.
Wonderful.
Do you I had a question, I forgot it. No. So everything is well, I started thinking ahead on while you're talking, and I started thinking ahead, and I'm listening to you, and I don't want to lose track of what you're saying, but I think, I got to ask this question, and then I do forget. So that's what happened. So, Mike, any last thoughts or questions or anything for?
Well, going to the website 5sensestastings.com. where would someone or a corporation start to get this process started? What would they do?
So I would head over to the contact button, which is where you can select the option for what you'd like to work with us on. So you can fill out a quick contact form, and there's a request. Would you like to do an in-person tasting event, a virtual musical wine tasting, a whiskey or cocktail event, which we do with our cocktail branch Song and Tonic, or we also have our wine PB&J gifting, which is wine pairings in a box and jams. And jams is the musical jams, not the gooey sticky kind. So we have a gifting program called Wine PB&J, and so they kind of select, hey, I'd like to do a gifting, and then they send me some basic information, and then we follow up from there.
Oh. Okay, good. Yeah, I was just looking at the main page has Wine PB&J. I thought it was a sandwich. I was like, just scanning through it. I was like, but yep. Yeah, reading into it. Okay, I get you. Yeah, that. All right, that was it. Just trying to figure out, where to go from there, and tell everybody how to get started with you, and get the experience in, and your 5 senses is perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my pleasure, and thank you for mentioning that.
You are on everything. It looks like I'm looking here. You're on Facebook. You're on Pinterest. You're on things that I don't even understand what the symbol is, and for the listeners, how can they contact you besides just going to the website of www.5sensestastings.com? Mm-hmm. How other ways can they get in touch with you?
I'd recommend Instagram is where I'm most active. I would say I use Facebook more for personal stuff, and Instagram is kind of where I talk about, the wines I'm drinking and the music that I'm pairing, and that kind of stuff. So that's definitely where the meat is for all of my sort of sensory wellness and, that kind of talk.
Okay, very good. And you are still going to be doing 5 senses tasting. So if somebody listens to this program and says, "Oh no, I'm going to miss her," you're still going to be available for doing that. So that's not an issue. So that's very good.
No, not an issue at all. And I hope I didn't skew your whole program by telling this, but the decision was, it would have been a different conversation if we talked a couple months ago, and it was really kind of a moment that I had in New York where I was like, when you just have those sort of like, you have those moments, you've been thinking about something and you're not ready, and then all of a sudden something happens and you go, okay, I see it now. And so, I want to be honest with your listeners, but my love of music and wine continues. I will absolutely still be here. I will absolutely still be doing things. I have so much to learn about wine, and to be able to do it in the sort of, in a sphere of less pressure feels like really wonderful and welcoming. I'm working towards my WSET 3, so I'm taking that in February, and, I just really am looking forward to, I'm looking forward to just kind of like listening and drinking without having to figure out how they fit into a program.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask. That are you going to continue to pursue the wine aspect of it? And obviously you are trying to get certifications and stuff like that. And the certifications, are those for a purpose other than just the love of doing it?
They were and are really for my comfort in what I do. So when I'm hosting events, I have more knowledge. I know what questions to ask. I kind of can find where, my sticking points are, where my knowledge is lacking, and go there and find more. So this might be where I end. I'm not sure. I said that WSET 2 would be where I would end, and then I lied and did this anyway. So you never know, but I feel like it's a challenging, course. I don't know that I would probably go up to diploma level. So I think just learning on my own is a lot.
But you say you might not go up to higher levels, but that's what you say now. Mm-hmm. But, like you say, 2 months ago,
who knows?
It would have been a different conversation. So, who knows?
Exactly.
you may find it so fascinating and interesting that you pursue the wine aspect of it even deeper. So that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do that, get in touch with me. We'll have you back on the show, and we'll talk wine more so than.
I guess we didn't really talk so much wine, did we?
Yeah, it was
we
more about
talked
the five
pairing.
Yeah, a little.
Well, I think there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of pairing of the wines and stuff, but there's so much more. And when you do those tests, it really creates a whole new mindset and approach to wine too. It's fascinating when you start getting certifications and all those different areas. So, any last thoughts or any last comments you'd like to make?
I guess I would say, I came to wine late in life, and I was one of those people who was also really scared by it, even as someone who came from the opera world where that was already scary. And, people say, oh, I'm never going to learn. And I always go, I'm never going to learn the rules of American football. I'm just never going to. And I'm going to look like a fool on Super Bowl day. And I'm okay with that, So just dive in. Experiment, go to your local wine store and talk to people and have them educate you. Keep a list of what you love to drink. Figure out a country that you love and just drink everything you can from there. Figure out a grape you love or figure out a grape you don't love. And then try it from different countries and find out if maybe you like it from here and not from there. And so for me, tasting is really just another word for trying. And so for me, it's all about really my entire professional career in this business has been about tasting new things, trying new things, and finding out things I didn't even know I totally loved. And that's my whole motto, is try everything with everything in terms of pairing, like food, music, whatever. Because, people say the wine you love is the wine that you're drinking, or the perfect pairing is the one that you love. I believe that. And so for me, it's just continuing to try new and try more and try different.
And that's some excellent advice there too to people about finding yourself a store and work with them and try different wines from different regions and stuff. So many people tend to go back to their default wines and stay with those. And there is such a big world of wine out there that's so fascinating. And so, excellent advice. I think on your part there. Yeah. So, Colin, thank you so much for the patience you have shown over the past, 2.5 months, it seems like now, from the time you first tried to get on. And we tried, I think, a couple of times, and connections have been bad through Blog Talk Radio and all sorts of stuff. And I do appreciate you hanging in there with us and finally getting on, and even tonight coming on and surprised me. I've been trying to keep track of who's who and all that, and I've been going crazy, and so I really do appreciate you staying with us and coming back on, and good luck to you in your future endeavors. And Five Senses is still going strong, so anybody out there who wants to try Five Senses tasting, it is available. And she will be happy to work with you on those and whatever else she may be pursuing in the future. So again, thank you so much for the time, and good luck in what you pursue.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you both keep well and safe. And I look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you.
Once you start getting certifications. On Wednesday, just send me an email and we'll get you scheduled in here and we'll talk about that.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you. Have a good
evening.
All
right. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye now. All right. That's an interesting concept. I like that. The Five Senses, pairing it with music. That really is fascinating. I like that.
Yeah. And I was looking at my notes from, it's been since at least early September. You mentioned her being on the show September 29th and on that show. But, and I just saw this because it goes in date order. And she's also co-founder of Song and Amp Tonic. That's how I wrote it. A bone marrow donor. And at the time, she was level 2 WSET, or I think somebody said WSET one time, soon to be a 3, and went to San Francisco wine school. And that's some of the notes that I wrote down. And a polyglot. And you know what? I was going to look that up because I have no idea what a polyglot is. Hold on.
Oh.
Fucking.
We should have asked her while she was on about that.
Knowing or using several languages. Huh. A person who knows and is able to use several languages. Wow. I'll be darned. I didn't know that.
Well,
I should have said something.
As an opera singer,
yeah,
she probably does sing in, Italian and what is an other classic opera language?
Russian, I think there's a Russian or there's several.
Yeah, possibly.
Mostly
were
European.
Ones that opera embraces. So a polyglot. Did you say?
Polyglot.
Glot.
Is
Huh. I've never heard of that.
Knowing or using several languages. So that was the dictionary version.
I wish.
No idea. I just looked it up and I go, wait a minute.
Yeah. She was scheduled way back in September.
Yeah.
And then Ian hit.
Yeah.
And we tried to talk. Actually, she did contact me. And I couldn't hear her. I saw where she called in, but she couldn't hear me at all. It was just like dead. And so we emailed, and I apologized. She said, we'll get rescheduled. And then there was another date that was rescheduled. And again, we had problems.
Wow.
And so that's, so she called in this time. So I really appreciate the fact that she did stay with me on this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely
been situations that somebody called in and just, and forget it. And that was it. I'm glad she stayed with us.
Yeah. When I ran the phone number, it did come back to Five Senses tastings, and I was waiting for you to come back and say, "Oh, she's with Five Senses," so I could say, "Okay, that's the match for the number." So that's what he said. I was like, "I just checking."
Well, she sent me an email.
Sure. Okay.
And my whole long list of emails.
Yeah. All right.
It said, let's see, it says, "Hi, Ron, I'm on the line, and I hear that you were not expecting someone today. Today was our scheduled interview." And I didn't have it written down. I don't know why, but, I've been bouncing guests around so much. It's been crazy on my end, too.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well,
good.
I just read that. I was like, oh, wow, I do have a note here. All the other everything else. Polyglot, yeah.
Polyglot.
And bone marrow donor, and quite a bit down here. Professional opera singer, and I have no idea. Song and amp tonic. I didn't find out about that, so I have to figure that out. Don't remember.
I didn't know about that.
If she mentioned, I know I mentioned briefly the website, but be sure to visit fivesensestastings.com. That is the website, or Instagram.com/5sensestastings, all one word, and it's plural. So go to Instagram or go to her website, and there's links at the top. She's got Instagram, Facebook. Again, she says more personal stuff. There's also a Yelp page, and you can check. That's what that one little. It looks, I don't know if it's a flower or a sunburst, but that's Yelp. So.
Oh, that's what that is?
That's what that is. She's on.
That's why I said I didn't recognize some of those things there.
Yeah, there's a couple of, Instagram, Facebook, and Yelp are on her website, so check it out. Good. She's still out there. So, we figured that one out.
Yeah,
so.
she's, I'm looking at her Instagram. Page now. A lot of information about her and stuff on there too. So, Yeah,
Very
very
cool.
good. Educated Bernard College, Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Music, and Boston Conservatory at Berkeley, a Master of Music and Opera.
Wow.
No.
We should.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Okay. Activities in societies: women's chorus, wind ensemble, conservatory, diction tutor, French, English, Italian, Spanish, German.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And she said for both foreign and U.S. students, paid position at the Boston Children's Chorus during both years of study. Wow. Conservatory diction tutor for French, English, Italian, Spanish, and German. Wow, she really is a polyglot.
Yeah. Wow. We should get her back on the show. Hold on a second. Let me.
Yeah. Let me bring her up here and say,
yeah. Hold on a second.
We've just been looking at this stuff.
Yeah, we just found out something else. Yeah.
Yeah, we just saw something else. You know. But graduated Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude, departmental honors. She studied abroad in the spring of 2000, spent a semester in Santiago, Chile. Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Well, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Well,
Quite
hopefully
accomplished.
she'll call us when she starts advancing in her WSET certifications, and we'll get her back on again.
Yeah, definitely. There's more.
San Diego State University voluntary. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff here on her. Unbelievable. Kala.
Well, it is. I don't even know what time it is.
Intelligent woman.
15.
Before we leave.
1954. Yeah. Okay.
Before we leave, there's something I want to talk about. Let me find it here. I was looking at it previously today. And is this it here? Whoa. No,
Wow.
no.
I was checking the button out to see if that was hooked up. I thought
it is.
I don't have it on video yet mode, so but it went out anyway. Okay, don't cue that up yet. Okay, it works. Next.
Okay, let me go through this in a few minutes here.
Yeah, sure.
It's almost 8, but
Plenty of time.
I'm going to cover this. I'm going to talk about this quickly. We all are familiar with oh geez, what's my name?
We have a caller on the phone. Caller, you're live.
No, it's dismiss and dismiss. There you go.
I have done that before.
This time of the evening, the only calls I'm getting is, do you know that you can sign up for Medicare or not Medicare, but for health care and get yourself money back on your Social Security? It won't cost you anything, so.
Oh.
That's about the only thing I get on.
Are they recordings or are they people talking?
And a lot of them are. A lot of them are. But it's sign up period.
Oh, yeah.
From October, what is it?
The first
30th to December 15th.
Yep.
It's sign up period if you want to switch your coverage for the seniors. And I got all my coverage through VA. So.
Perfect.
Those are just pain in the butt calls. And so, okay.
Yep.
Let me
go ahead.
We're all familiar with the help me with my word. When you place like champagne is just champagne, you can't call it anything else because it's a champagne. And you have the names for
like
the
port.
areas. Well, here's something. I'm sorry.
Port is that the other one? It has to be from
ports only for
Portugal.
port, only for the port region.
Burgundy. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, Burgundy, and and you can't name them anything else because those are areas. Those are actually areas. Well, I just saw this, and Corbel California Champagne isn't really champagne, and I'm reading this, okay? But we can at least agree that Corbel can make Chardonnay, but maybe not, because the EU, European Union, I will refer to it as the EU because it's easier than saying European Union every time, which has previously, and this drives me crazy when you start reading some of the stuff, let me quote, the EU, which has previously dictated to Europeans such minute things as the shapes of bananas and cucumbers, is now telling French farmers who have been using Vermentino for years that they may no longer call it that. Excuse me. Only Italian wineries may now use the name Vermentino. What? Vermentino isn't a place. It isn't even a state of mind, although it could be because, I'm in Vermentino. Light, breezy, slightly salty, refreshing, a Vermentino day. But according to this ruling, there is no Malbec in Argentina, no Pinot Noir in New Zealand, no Chenin Blanc in South Africa, and no Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa. Okay, this is the EU is going nuts on this. Okay, the issue came up because Jacques Belhoc, the owner of Domaine d'Astar in the French Languedoc region, found out that the EU agreed with a request by Italian producers and decided to prevent vintners outside of Italy from using the name Vermentino. Huh? The variety is actually more widely planted in France than in Italy. It appears in a whole lot of white blends in the south and even some Provence rosés. Some producers bottle it on its own, but the vintage they can't. From this vintage, they can't call it Vermentino anymore. There is a French synonym, Rolle, R-O-L-L-E, but they said that it is not something that rolls off your tongue. Okay, the point is you can't take away these great names. You can tell us that you can only buy Roquefort from Roquefort. Fine, that's a cheese and name a place. But you cannot tell us we can't call cow juice milk just because the word comes from High German. It's absurd. Moreover, Vermentino by itself does not tell me what the wine is going to taste like, even from Italy. And this is something Holly just got to talking about. Wherever you're getting something, whatever the wine is, it's going to taste different everywhere. So, if the EU is going to say Vermentino only comes from one place, it needs to drill down and pick a place, not wave its hand at all 116,000 square miles of Italy.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is ridiculous. I mean, a tip of the hat goes to the Italians for mastering the EU bureaucracy. They forced wineries in Greece's island of Santorini to stop calling their dessert wines Santo because the Italians asked the EU for the name first. The fact that Santo is Greece, and Santo in Greece comes from the name of the island where it's made, so it's a place name, whereas in Italy it's not, does not matter. Italy asked first. Sounds like grade school, I said it first, so And when Prosecco got hot, producers realized that Prosecco, being both a grape and a region, meant others outside Italy could make it. So they renamed the grape Glera, Glera, to protect the place name. It's ridiculous. I mean, the whole thing. The proprietor of Tablas Creek, Jason Haas, said, I read the announcement and thought it was absurd. The idea that Vermentino is somehow part of the geographical indicator is ridiculous on its face. It seems like this maybe slipped through the cracks in France, and people are now only realizing what it means. I can't see standing up to a French challenge. I can't see it standing up to a French challenge. Even if it does, I can't see the decision being respected outside of the EU. The U.S. government won't, under current policy, even approve a grape by second name. So even if we wanted to call it Rollet, which we don't, it wouldn't pass the TTB muster. It just, in Australia, more than a dozen producers make Vermentino, and the Australian Grape and Wine Association says they are not happy about this ruling. They said it's absurd. Everybody's saying it's absurd. This says, so what's next? Well, according to the book, Wine Grapes, Vermentino is also grown in Lebanon, Malta, California, Texas. Good luck there. And it says here, of course, good luck there, EU. North Carolina, Virginia, and Brazil. Texas. Yeah. It's hard for me to see the U.S., which has fought for decades to protect Corbel's right to misname its sparkling wine Champagne, agreeing to go along with this. But then again, did you know Corbel makes Prosecco now? It is a company, on this company website, it said that they make it in Italy, in the Prosecco DOC. So, there you go. It's, that's all you do, just go there and do it there. But this is absurd. I saw this and I'm going, what? What are you trying to prove here? But it's just some more of the EU, playing around with stuff. The EU fought. They were the ones that was fighting with the Soviet Union about champagne. And I don't know if y'all remember this or not, but the Soviet Union said, we can't take any more champagne shipments from France because we call our sparkling wine champagne. If you want to ship it in here, you got to put a different name on it. And so that was an ongoing battle. I think it finally, I don't know. I want to say I think it finally settled, but I don't know if it has or not because I haven't seen anything anywhere with the final results on that. So, but this is just bureaucrats. This is what happens when you get bureaucrats involved with this stuff. It gets out of hand and absurd, and that's what this is all about. If I find out more about this, I'll let y'all know, but I just had to share that with you tonight and let you know what's going on.
Funny how they...
Ridiculous.
It's almost... I don't know if that's borderline censorship or what. They're trying to keep people from, you can't use this. It's a word. But very strict on this, for sure.
A name of a grape. It's not a region. It's not it's just a name of a grape. If that were the case, then... let's say Zinfandel. Zinfandel is California. They can say, okay, we don't want anybody to call it Zinfandel anymore because we call it that, and so everybody's going to have to use another name, and then you're going to start getting a whole bunch of different names for a whole bunch of different stuff, and oh my gosh, come on. But okay. All right, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox, but I wanted to.
Well, good. That was a good box to be on. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is 8:06 p.m. and we'll have our next show next Thursday, December the 8th. I almost said September. What am I? No. Okay. December the 8th.
You were gone.
I was.
You missed the 2 months in there.
From October to it was terrible. From December the 8th, and then we may have, I don't know when the holidays fall on this week, but or this month, the 24th. I think it's
Saturday
and
Christmas
Sunday.
Is on a Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll see what
Christmas Eve's on a Saturday, and Sunday is Christmas, and New Year's 26th. Eve is on Saturday. So
wow. Yep. Okay.
But we have a guest all the way up to the 22nd.
Okay.
And
yeah, sounds good.
so
we'll get that posted as soon as we get the information, and we'll talk to you all next Saturday. So have a great week and be safe. And we'll see you.
And thank our guest Colin for coming on, and thank you again, Colin, for being so patient with us while we were going through the hurricane fiasco.
Yeah.
And getting on.
And be sure to visit the website again.
5senses-tasting.com. Check it out, people.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Thank you. And have a great week. Be safe. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you.
Yep. Be safe.
Thank you. Oh, that's still running. What? Hang on. All right, there we go.
This concludes tonight's broadcast of All About Wine with your host, Ron. For show information, links to All About Wine on Twitter and Facebook, or to be a guest on this show, visit the show website at www.allaboutwinebtr.com. Archived shows are available for download on iTunes or on our show page at blogtalkradio.com/allaboutwine. Thank you for listening. Drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time on All About Wine.
Now if I can figure out how to